Lesson 6 is about traveling distances. So estimating distances on maps, this is the first thing we'll look at. Rarely there are two places on a map connected by a straight line, so we need to estimate sometimes when we look at a map the distance in between two places. Usually the scales are given in the corner of the map, so if we look at this map here, Sunderland and Cannington, so we see these two locations, and down here we actually have a scale. So the scale on the map, we're going to use kilometers just because we're in Canada. When I measure this with a ruler, so you might need a ruler to do some of these questions. When I measure this, I actually get 2.3 centimeters. So our scale is saying that 2.3 centimeters on the map is the same thing as 5 kilometers in real life. So that is our scale. Sometimes we have these in the same units, like both in centimeters or both in kilometers, but right now this will work to do this question. So this is our diagram size, and this is our actual size. Okay, centimeters over kilometers. In order to estimate the distance in between Cannington and Sunderland on this map, I mean, there is no road that goes directly from one to the other. So we might just use a ruler and measure the roads that we can. Again, it's just an estimate. So we might measure from here to this corner here where it says Highway 12, and then from there down to Sunderland. So when I used a ruler to do that, and I mean, if you print this out on paper, you'd be able to see, I got about 1.6 centimeters for that piece, and I had 4 centimeters for the longer piece down this way. So add those up, you get 5.6 centimeters. So if we go back and use this as our scale, because we did measure this with a ruler and now we know what the scale is, we could set this up as a ratio, and that's usually the easiest way to figure this out. So I know if 2.3 centimeters is the same thing as 5 kilometers in real life, so we're doing centimeters over kilometers, then 5.6 centimeters, how much is that in real life? So if we don't know how long that is, we could put an X there. So we know the centimeters, but we don't know the kilometers. And then we can cross multiply, so 2.3 times X is just 2.3X. And then 5 times 5.6 is 28. So I multiply this way as well. And a ratio is always a good way to try and figure out this unknown answer. I need to divide both sides by 2.3 though, because I want the X to be all by itself. So when I'm done, X is going to equal 12.17. What that means is, in real life, to drive from Cannington to Sunderland, we're saying it's about 12.17 kilometers. Example 2, I wanted you to take a look at Google Maps. I don't know how much time you've spent on Google Maps. So if you go to your phone or a browser and just search for Google Maps, I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about that as well. So when I pull up Google Maps here, what I see is a nice view of North Bay. You can zoom on the side and you can zoom in to certain areas. There is a satellite view that you can click on, and this is kind of cool because we're able to zoom in and we can see houses along Ski Club Road. We can zoom into any neighborhood. It's kind of interesting how close you can get. So you can see how big the property is from above. You can see who has a pool and you know, where the shed is. So it's kind of an interesting view. Another thing we can do is we can search for a certain location. So I'm able to search for a location, like maybe W.J. Fricker. And what's kind of neat is this view up here. This is the street view. So if I click on that, I'm able to drive around, which you might have done before. So you can kind of see the shadow of the the car and the video that took these images. You can drive around down the street. You can look for certain houses. It's a pretty clear shot of a house, and you can kind of keep moving your mouse. I don't know if you've done this before, but you can sort of go for a drive around a neighborhood, and then turn and zoom in on certain properties. So it's kind of a neat tool. What we're going to do for our lesson is we're going to determine the driving distance between Northgate Shopping Centre and McDonald's on McEwen. So I want to know how long the drive will take and how far it is. So when I look here, I can type in Northgate, and usually it'll pop up for you. And then I'd want to click on directions. So directions is going to be from Northgate to somewhere else. So I'd like to go from Northgate. So I'm going to click these arrows. I'd like to go from Northgate to McDonald's. And then there's a McDonald's on McEwen that pops up. If you have the exact address, you can type that in as well. So what we see are different routes. This one takes 7 minutes. This one, if we went this way, we would take 9 minutes. This one takes 10 minutes. So it gives you some options, but usually the one that pops up first is going to be the fastest route. So it looks like it's 4 kilometers and it's going to take 7 minutes to drive there. How long would it take to walk the fastest route, and how many kilometers is the walk? So I don't know if you know this, but up above here in the toolbar, I can choose walking. And it might give you a different route that avoids some highways or whatever, and maybe there are some quieter streets. So to walk from Northgate, that seems like a long time. To walk from Northgate, it says it's going to take, the blue is the fastest route to get there, kind of zigzagging through a lot of subdivisions. It looks like 4 kilometers, it's going to take about 52 minutes to walk. And then the question down below, why might someone not choose the fastest route? So maybe they want to choose the scenic route, or maybe there's construction that they know about. Sometimes you maybe need to stop somewhere else because you're doing errands, and you might also want to avoid long lights or busy streets. And then example 3, explain how each of the conditions could influence travel times. So driving to work at 8:30 in the morning, if I look at Google Maps, sometimes they adjust for accidents or construction, and they'll tell you that it's going to be delayed. But how would driving to work at 8:30 in the morning affect your travel time? This would be rush hour, and that would be really important in bigger cities where you could be really stopped on the highway for long periods of time. What about traveling to a vacation spot on a Friday late afternoon? So many people are leaving town, heading to cottages, heading on vacations for the weekend. So it's going to be busy with people leaving town. Road construction, you may need to stop, or the traffic might be down to 1 lane, which really causes a lot of delays. And what about going to a friend's house at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon in August? So in the summertime, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday, it's probably going to be a fast drive because it's not that busy.